All right, welcome back to another episode of the Palm Beach North podcast, brought to you by our friends at Jupiter Medical Center. My name is Noel Martinez, President and CEO of the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce. And you know what? Golf is a really big deal for us here in Palm Beach North. You know, it's part of who we are, right? Some people say that Palm Beach County is the golf capital of the United States. And I like to say that golf is a part of our fabric, and it's one of the things that makes us special. And with us today, we're absolutely thrilled to welcome Andrew George. He is the Senior Vice President of Live Events and Operations for TMRW Sports. He started his career as an intern at the Honda Classic and rose through the ranks to become its executive director. And I know that's how many of you know him. He recently took a leap to join TMRW Sports, a new innovative league called TGL, which is a new golf league co-founded by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. So I'm excited to have Andrew here. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on here. Yeah, we're talking about, in the office, the Honda Classic and 42 years there. So it's a change for me too, just talking about my own title, but I'm excited to kind of dive into this new venture and stay in sports and stay in Palm Beach North, of course.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Andrew, let's start with you, right? I want people to get to know you a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about your early influences. Going back as a kid, like what really got you into golf? What influenced you to be into golf the way that you are now?
Yeah, I think, from earliest age, thinking about, sitting there with my dad and he's got the radio, listening to Iowa Hawkeye football games or basketball games, and then going out in the yard or in the snow and kind of drawing out either in chalk or with my footprint, a football field or a basketball court. And then as I grew, going into, different camps in the summer and kind of watching how things were put together, I always had this kind of interest in how the background of building out these different camps went together. And, as I got into high school, Tiger Woods came on the scene. You think back to what he did as an amateur. That was, I just was glued to the TV, and, you kind of fast forward to the opportunity to be in golf and kind of see him in that live setting when he first came to the Honda Classic. Really special moment. But, I just, from the earliest age, it was all about sports, and it was all about kind of how we plan those. I had the chance to build a basketball camp in my own town back home in Iowa, my first foray into it, and I just absolutely loved it. And, the rest is history. So
you mentioned your dad. Tell me a little bit about your father. Is he a golfer?
He's as good of a golfer as the rest of us would be, in that he's, can keep it going down the fairway a little bit. He doesn't play much anymore. He was a doctor, family practice doctor. My mom was a teacher, small town, right? So you kind of knew everyone and waved at everyone around the corner. But those were some of the special memories growing up. We had a 9-hole course. Every hole was, of course, in Iowa, just flat. You went down 400 yards and back 300 yards the other way. But so many cool conversations I'd have with my brothers, with my dad. And then, as I grew into this role here, you kind of take a lot of those different aspects of what relationship building is, from a sales perspective, from an operations perspective. Golf is at the center of all of that.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about family. You have an absolutely gorgeous family. Your wife is absolutely lovely. I've been fortunate enough to spend some time with her and you guys out at a lot of events in the community. Tell us about your family. Tell us about your kids.
Yes, my wife is the best part of our family. She is the rock. And,
better say that.
No, I absolutely. I came down, you mentioned the internship. And so my first month on the job, Ken Kenerly and Ed McIlroy hire me. And I'm like, I am going to focus on growing my career and all things job. And I'm not going to look for, the relationships that I'm going to go out and meet new people. And of course, right away, I met her at a SantaCon downtown in West Palm Beach, of all places. We got on the same kickball team and just kind of grew to, we couldn't stop laughing at each other. And now, 10, 12 years later with the 3 kids that we have, 8, 6, and 3, there's a lot of noise in the house. I'm always appreciative, especially you think of that like time frame between January and March, that I kind of feel like I'm an absent father in some ways. How she keeps everything together has been really special for us.
Good, man. Good. All right. So let's have some fun with this one. So you've probably gotten to play a lot of golf, gotten to experience a lot of really cool golf experiences. What is your favorite golf memory?
So professionally, favorite golf memory is the first time, we had been working for a number of years on growing in this community, the Honda Classic, and what that meant to be kind of more than a golf tournament. But at the center of it was this, we had to try to get the local golfers and Ken had always kind of earmarked Tiger Woods, and that experience, the first time we were going to get him, when he announced him at media day, the emotion that we all had, went back down to the office and just the phone started ringing off the hook. But that first year was a special moment for me in kind of, what was 2, 3, 4 years worth of hard work. When he hit that eagle into 18, my dad actually was a volunteer down at 14, and he was texting me, "Hey, did he make the eagle putt?" And by the time I could respond on text, he goes, "Never mind, I already heard the roar." So it was still the loudest moment that I've ever had at the Honda Classic. But it was just an appreciation for all the hard work that came before it. To see that come to fruition, and just the whole county, talking about, I was there, I was on 18. I got to see this moment was special for all of us.
I could see it in your eyes, like you like glow when you talk about that.
Still hear that noise. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned his name a couple times. So we've got to talk about Ken Kenerly, right? I know you started at the Honda Classic as an intern and moved all the way up to become the executive director. So Ken Kenerly, someone that everyone knows in the community, has been around a long time. So what's your relationship like with Ken Kenerly? Are you guys still close? Tell me a little bit about that.
Ken is a special man, and larger than life. You think about the marketing that he puts forth. He is always thinking about how to grow. What I took from him, I think, early on was, what we did today is now the baseline, and we're always going to continue to grow each and every year. And that was a special part of the tournament. But I came out of grad school at the height of the downturn in the economy, and went from, at UMass Amherst, they only have 10 people that go into the program. Everybody gets a job, no problem. We're going to place you wherever, to, I hope you get an internship somewhere. And my two options were the Midwest with a college athletic conference. And when I went to visit and did the internship, it was, or the interview, excuse me, it was snow and ice. And then I came down here, and you had the palm trees and all of what Palm Beach North and Palm Beach County is.
Pretty nice. It's pretty nice
decision. But Ken, he gave me a ton of opportunity right off the bat. There was a team of 5 at the time, so I got to see the operations, I got to see the sales and the marketing and the community aspects, how he interacted and told the story. This is before, the Honda Classic was what it is today, the bear trap. I mean, these were the early days. You look at the photos, and we just kind of laugh at how small that looked. But there's not a week or a day that doesn't go by that I don't think about some of those, early mentor moments that he had for me. And he just took me under his wing. And so did Ed McIlroy. And that entire team was very, very close. And it was special building something together. And now you look at it, 15, 16 years later, the 200,000 fans out there. That was Ken's vision from the very, very beginning.
You guys still close? How often do you talk to him?
He is an early riser. He always did text at 3 or 4 in the morning with his first thoughts of the day. And I'm kind of a late to bed, try to get the kids to bed, do a little more work. So we did a lot of ships passing in the night, but probably every other day I'll get a text or a call from him, just checking in.
Yeah, good. That's good, man. So, all right, life lessons in golf. Golf's often looked at as a game that really teaches you many life lessons. So what life lessons have you learned from golf?
Oh, that's a good question. Anger management. I don't.
Oh boy, you don't see me on the golf course.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing game, and you think of some of you put some of those bad luck moments. You hit a drive right down the middle, and you're in a divot, or the wind pushes your ball through the fairway into a water hazard. How you persevere, how you adapt, how you be flexible. I mean, there's not a moment that you don't use those skills. And then I think the other thing is that there's not one size fits all to how people can succeed. There's in golf, you've got the long drive, the bombers that can hit it down there 350. You have the great putters, you have the iron players. There are different ways to succeed. And I think in business, there's that as well. There's always another pathway to finding out the answer to growing your business and moving forward. And I think that's something that golf can relate it back into business side.
Yeah, that's a great answer. All right, let's continue to have some fun with some of these questions. I want people to really get to know you. Dream golf round. You can play golf with anybody alive.
Besides you?
Besides me. You do not want to play golf with me. As much as I love it, I'm not there. But dream golf round. Who's in your foursome?
I would take 4, and I'd probably just drive the golf cart. And
so who are those 4? All right.
People would probably gravitate towards golfers, the Tigers and the Arnold Palmers and the Jack Nicklauses, very, very special in their own right. Because we spent a lot of time around them, I'd probably lean towards like any consortium of presidents or business leaders. I'm always curious and fascinated on how they make their decisions, how they lead their teams, how they communicate. And so, from the list of presidents over the years, put 4 of those together. I'll drive the golf cart and just listen to those guys banter back and forth.
I love it. Love it. Love it. What do you do when you're not in golf? Golf's your life. I mean, you probably eat, sleep, drink, golf, right? So what do you do when you're not in the golf world, when you're not working?
I'm not playing as much. I used to play all the time. Like I mentioned, going through high school, you're playing 3 or 4 rounds, every summer day you could. I very rarely play now. I think that's something everyone goes, oh, you must be a good golfer. You must know the golfers. When I've got an off day, it's to get away from the golf course. I mean, we're in so much of this kind of fast-paced, ever-changing landscape. A day for me, away from the golf course would be with my wife and kids. And it doesn't matter what we're doing. It could be building a puzzle. It could be, just running around the backyard. That is something that those moments, I feel like every time I come home, kids are getting bigger. They got more opinions. They're moving on to the next thing. And I enjoy those quiet moments in between all the chaos that we have on a daily basis.
So you talk about your family, right? And you have a very demanding job, mm-hmm. right? You work a lot of late nights. You're up early mornings, especially when the tournament was going on. And I'm sure you're going to have some really, really late nights with TGL, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But how do you manage your work-life balance? How do you do that?
I think that's a really hard thing. People talk about work-life balance and they want to put it in buckets of, 50% personal, 50% work. And for anyone, like yourself, all of the best of this county, look at all the leaders, to be 100% of everything is really, really hard. And so I've always tried to look at it in seasons. So the season of the golf tournament coming up in late February, we would have a lot of conversation around what January, February, March was going to look like, and make sure that you're making up for that in March or in April and June and July. And when you get a vacation, take advantage of that. And I think the other part that I really struggled with early on was being 100% in front of what I was in front of. If you're at the office, you might still be thinking about something with the kids. If you're at home and we're having a conversation about the day in the life of my son, Evan, at preschool, still thinking in the background, like, how do we build the bear trap a little differently? How do I grow this fan fest that we built? So I've really tried to put a lot of emphasis on being 100% of where you are, knowing that, in any month, you're not going to be 50-50 split. You're just going to have to give your best effort and try to be the best you can be for each side.
All right, let's talk about your career a little bit. I mentioned earlier that you started off as an intern and then ended up becoming the executive director, which is a great, great story. What were some of the key milestones and challenges that you faced along the way?
So, yeah, the internship, the best thing that happened was I was the only intern and we had 5 people. And you think of, and nothing against the other professional sports teams that we have down here, Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, the silo effect that you might get in an internship there where you are just marketing, you are just game day ops. I didn't have that. So I got to experience all sides and really understand and learn the things that I enjoyed. As I grew into the roles, I had a great support system with Ken, with Ed, with others that had come before me. As soon as I was ready for the next step, I remember 3 or 4 times saying like, okay, I've kind of mastered, if you will, this part of the business. What's next? Someone would either always leave or an opportunity would open up. And I was able to jump from community relations to sales. Tiger Woods made me look a lot smarter than we were on the sales side because it wasn't us calling people, they were calling us.
Helps.
And then taking over the operations. I remember Ed coming and saying, hey, do you want to take on this opportunity? I had no idea even what permitting looked like with the city and the relationship that we would have to have there, the 100+ vendors. But being able to kind of figure out all parts of the business, by the time I became the tournament director, I had a pretty unique perspective on what, empathy looked like for the operations director and the sales team and the community relations. And I think that helped, ease me into a role that I was certainly not qualified to lead a team of that magnitude that early. But all the experiences that came before it helped. And, again, with someone like a Ken Kenerly along the way, just being there to, course correct if he needed to and do it in the way that he does it has been special.
So things change, right? Opportunities come your way, and you've recently taken on an amazing opportunity to work with TMRW Sports. For a lot of people that don't know who TMRW Sports is and TGL, can you tell us a little bit about that? What is TMRW Sports? What is TGL?
It's TMRW Sports. Mike McIlroy kind of born this vision coming through COVID. Obviously, Tiger and Rory need no introduction, but
heard of those guys.
This is the sports landscape has changed forever. I think the way that consumers are taking in sports or any media product has changed a lot, and so being able to utilize all of the different tech that's out there, but doing it in a way that you're going to showcase the best of these PGA Tour pros through the TGL League, which will be a season where we're going to have 6 teams playing in match play format against each other, and different, modern match play where you have 3-on-3 matches. There's going to be a singles component, but doing it in a venue with all the technology, the rotation of the green complex, the screen is not a simulator that you'd be used to in your backyard. This is an IMAX type theater. Having those kind of collectives come together between technology and sport and media is what they're trying to promote, and kind of take a different view and different lens for the consumer into what is a traditional sport. I mean, golf hasn't in many ways changed in 60, 80, 100 years. We're taking the best of the traditional game and bringing it into the modern era. So
walk me through that. What does that look like? So it's going to be on Monday nights, right? Is it the plan still for it to be on a Monday nights after Monday Night Football, or in that Monday Night Football kind of,
I would call it a Monday, Tuesday night league now.
Okay.
Trying to fit in the right windows between January and March. This will be in prime time. You think of, and I love sitting on a couch and watching some of the PGA Tour events all weekend. Try to get my son into that so I get an excuse to stay on there. But again, the consumer behaviors have changed, and so kind of bringing together a bit of a smaller condensed version in prime time of the sport with the Tiger Woods, with the Rory McIlroy, with the Ricky Fowler, highlighting how great they really are in the short game area, how great a putter they are. That's what this is going to build on. And as you think about kind of what we're trying to do and bringing new fans to the game, doing it in a smaller window, having them understand and learn the players, and then have them go back to a PGA Tour event like what we've got just down the street on PGA Boulevard is what we're trying to do.
So they'll be mic'd up. You'll be able to hear their conversations. They're going to be paired up with other PGA Tour members, right? And it's going to all be live, right? Live too?
Live. Yep. Mic those guys up. Some are better at trash talk. I'm sure you can.
Oh my God, I can only imagine.
But seeing them in their element in that competitive juice that starts. It doesn't matter if they're playing ping pong or driving down PGA Boulevard. It's all about the competitive juices that get going. And I think that's what's going to be fantastic to watch in what is an oversized media production studio. I mean, it's an arena, but this is the most technologically advanced media production studio that you could have, and capturing those guys every moment is going to be awesome. So this is launching 2025, January 2025. It's going to be right here in Palm Beach Gardens, right on Palm Beach State College's campus. What are some of specific goals for this league between now and then? And how do you really envision TGL to impact the golf landscape? So if you take it from the lens of my role, it's a lot of the same things that we would look at the Honda Classic. How are you, from the time they get out of the car, the fans' journey, the fans' experience through to the match and on the back end, back home, how does that become the most elevated version of a live event that you possibly going to have? They're going to be steps away from the greatest that's ever played this golf game, and showcasing their talents. We want everything to be as premium as it possibly can. And then, again, trying to find new audiences that might otherwise not be watching in the middle of a Sunday afternoon, but they're going to catch this on prime time, learn a little bit more about the players, and then come out to what was the Honda Classic. We want to be very synergistic, I think, in the way that we promote the game, tied into the PGA Tour. Of course, they're a big partner of TGL and TMRW Sports as well. So there are a lot of challenges in running events. Like we do a lot of events at the Chamber, and there's always something. You're always putting out fires, right? I say that, our job is to put out fires, basically. And, this is going to be 15 weeks, right? The TGL is going to be a 15-week event, basically.
versus, you know, a 4-day event like the Honda Classic. So what do you think the differences are going to be, and what are you doing to prepare yourself for that?
So one of the challenges I think for me at the Honda Classic was always hearing on a Tuesday after the week that was, you know, oh, this was a challenge or a problem, or you missed on this food and beverage mark, you missed on this transportation mark. And I'm always was, you wish you could hear it in the moment because you had 365 days to have to think about that and fix it for the next year. And so what I'm excited about when you look at a season and TGL, you know, being in that 12 to 15 week window, is that every week there's an opportunity to get better from the last. And my hope is that by the end of season one, we've perfected a lot of the things that otherwise might take years at the Honda Classic, because they're always kind of taking the data from the previous year. Again, all the feedback, if there's something on a Sunday afternoon that goes awry, I wouldn't be able to do anything about it until the following year. Now I've got 7 days. We can fix it. We can tweak it, make it better. We're going to have a lot of real-time data that we otherwise wouldn't have gotten previously.
That's going to be awesome. So talk to me about community and economic impact. That's important to us at the Chamber. It's important to our community. You know, I believe the economic impact of the Honda Classic, or the Classic of the Palm Beaches. Do you remember that number? I'm sure you do.
About $80 million.
$80 million economic impact. So how is TGL and TMRW Sports going to impact Palm Beach Gardens, the county, the region?
Yeah, that was, you think of 15 years with the tournament. One of the reasons that I stayed as long as I did was because of the impact, because of the relationships with people here in Palm Beach North, how special this community is, and being able to showcase all of the best beyond golf, the beaches, the restaurants, the art, the culture, to the rest of the country and to the world. And so I think similarly, when you think of, we've got 6 teams coming from San Francisco and LA and New York and Boston and Atlanta, and then right here in our backyard with Jupiter, fans of those teams coming into the marketplace. And it's not just going to be for the match. We want to make sure that we are, the weekend before, we have opportunities for them to experience all the best of Palm Beach County and Palm Beach North, the impact to the restaurants, and, can we create some fandom around, some official bars and restaurants that become the pre-match locations for these teams to go to. The hotels, I mean, we're not just a 1-week event, coinciding with what was the Honda Classic, coinciding with spring training, right up the road, polo, all of those different special events that happen in that season. How do we continue to kind of grow the pie? And I think that's something that, we've been working on for the last, 3 or 4 months, and now we'll continue to make sure that we have, an opportunity for everybody to experience what we know is a great, great place to live and play and work.
We've touched on this a little bit, right? I think you said golf hasn't changed in forever, right? It's been the same thing forever and ever. And it's recently, I feel like since COVID-19, golf's taken off. Like, everybody wants to play golf. Everybody's buying a set of clubs. You drive down the street, people are chipping balls in their front yard. People have got, their tee boxes, not tee boxes, putting greens on their backyards. So what does the future of golf look like? And even the future for golf tournaments moving forward?
It's a great question. When you think about it, first from the tournament side, I don't know that format changes much going forward. I think there's still some traditional elements that are going to stay, but how operators, how we showcase the talent of those players, how we become more immersive in the experiences. I think long are the days of hospitality partners taking on 80 tickets and just kind of flooding the market and calling it a day. There are so many more customized, intimate, can't-buy experiences that are going to come down the pike. And then for those, because of what we're doing with TGL to kind of broadcast this out, how do we draw the fans in to make them feel the energy that's going to be in that arena? It's only 1,600, 2,000 seats in total, but we need that energy to kind of replicate onto the TV and then bring those fans in different ways, whether it's VR, whether it is showcasing with the different camera angles, all of the special elements that are going to make this thing, a great, great season through TGL.
Look, you've had a pretty good career for a young guy. I mean, you're younger than me. You're pretty accomplished already in the world of sports, right? You've done some really good stuff, especially for us here in our community. What are you most proud of?
Well, and I appreciate you saying that. And again, we talk a lot about the bald spots that's growing in the back here.
Why'd you bring? I would not have brought that up.
It's in the household. Now my 8-year-old's saying it to me. He goes,
we got no camera angle up there. No one would know.
I appreciate that. There's no shine on the back here. I got really lucky early on in my career to land where I did and to have the opportunities that I've had. But there was a time where I used to say, people say, where are you from? And I'd say Iowa. Where did you go to school? Midwest or UMass Amherst. And then I don't know when it was, but it kind of changed. And I started talking about, no, I'm from Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter. I'm from Palm Beach County. And this is where we've grown our roots. I'm really proud of, what we talked about early on was making more than a golf tournament for the Honda Classic and making it the place to be. Before I remember a lot of conversations around, well, I don't like golf, so I'm not coming out, and trying to explain to people, no, this is not about just the golf. This is about the experience. This is about celebrating this community. I think I'm proud of how many dollars back into the local community through philanthropy, almost 70 million there, hundreds of thousands of kids that we started to learn the stories of. And then this community really embraced it. I mean, through COVID, through all of the other challenges we've had in the sport of golf, nothing changed here because this community bought in, and I was a very small piece of this. I think that was people like yourself telling the story. It was people like Ken Kenerly. It's people like Ron Ferris in this city, Kelly Smallridge. The list goes on, but proud of what we've kind of built to make this thing way more than a golf tournament, which was always the conversation early on.
What kind of advice would you give a young aspiring professional that wants to get into sports management?
I would say look beyond kind of the glitz and glamour. First it's kind of like find your why moments. They'll find that through their internship. But I think a lot of people come in looking to make a quick splash because of, I want to be close to a Ricky Fowler, so I want to get into golf, or I want to run the Miami Dolphins because I'm a Dolphins fan, so I want to be the GM tomorrow. And I think I would say find experiences where you can learn the skills that are going to translate later on. And so sometimes, when we looked at resumes, a lot of times you'd be more attracted to somebody who was in minor league baseball. And think of what Mike Bauer is doing up there, the amount of impact you can have across different lines versus just a siloed effect in one area of the business. I would get as many immersive experiences in internships there as you can, and then be patient. I think sports is, whether it's from a salary perspective or from kind of an upward mobility, sometimes you feel like you're going sideways a few times before all of a sudden you kind of shoot out of that rocket. And there's a big difference between 100% of your job and going 110, 120%. Doing that extra little piece that may not be in your job description, that's what's going to get noticed. Just keep doing your job, and you're gonna have the opportunity later on.
What about engaging the new generation? Like, how do you engage the new generation, the younger folks, to play golf and to get involved? Because, sometimes people look at it as that's the old guy sport. Mm-hmm. Like young kids are playing basketball, football, whatever they want to do. But how do we encourage them to play golf?
Well, hopefully through TGL, getting these guys mic'd up, getting a little bit more, I think what Netflix has done through their series to kind of tell the story of the players beyond
great show, man.
Being a golfer with your head down, playing a sport very, very well. There is a human side to this that we need to tell more of the story on. I think sometimes it could be intimidating. This is not an easy sport to learn or master. If anyone's ever mastered it, certainly not me, but the different areas that people are going into, I think Pop Stroke is a great example of, people trying to find the entry points, Drive Shack or Top Golf. How do we get a club in hand, get them excited about it, get them with their friends and making memories, and then they'll grow into the sport. But if we just rely on the traditional, methods of the 4-hour, 5-hour round and 18 holes, we're going to lose a lot of the next generation, which is important to the future of the golf.
You've always been like the master. You've always impressed me how you activate sponsorship deals, right? You've at the Honda Classic and the Classic of the Palm Beaches. I gotta say that until they're getting ready to announce the new name, right? Yeah. But talk to me about what you think that's going to look like for TGL, because that's going to be some really cool stuff you're going to be able to do there.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about just the changing in sponsorship in general. But the activation element and how do you connect the fans that are coming in? There's going to be a lot of hype and excitement from the minute they get out of the car. how do we use the technology for new and innovative ways? And working with some of our biggest sponsors, SoFi, obviously naming the venue, there's a lot of great ideas, and kind of how you, from the minute you get out of your car to the match to kind of the post round and post match effects, things that you're going to talk about for a long, long time. Things that, it's not just another day at an event. This is a can't buy, once in a lifetime experience. That's the goal. That was, certainly that's always been the goal, even at the Honda Classic, was, no matter what, if you were there as a family of 5, you were there for business, you were there because you love the golf, or you're just a socialite having a great time with your friends, you all walked away saying like, wow, this was an amazing day. And I think that's the goal here with TGL, is that no matter how you interact with the product, you're going to walk away saying like, that was incredible and once in a lifetime.
Is there anything that we haven't really touched on with TGL or Tomorrow Sports or in the golf world? Something that I haven't thought about, haven't asked?
No, I'm really excited. One of the reasons I made the move down the street was to stay engaged in Palm Beach North, and what you've done, what this chamber has done to grow. I think people have spent a lot of dollars on leadership podcasts or events. This podcast and the people that you've had on here have been incredible. I've learned a ton just every single week listening into there to the different conversations and perspectives. But I think in this community, as we think about how do we, people are still learning what TGL and what Tomorrow Sports is, being open to embracing this the same way that this community embraced the tournament for the PGA Tour. There's going to be a lot of things coming down the pike that I think we're going to be asking, and special moments that are going to happen, and special ways for us to engage people from all over the country, all over the world that have maybe never been to Palm Beach North. Let's get ready to showcase, like we always do, the best of all things in this community.
We're good at that. We can show them a good time. That's for sure. Last question. I like to ask this question to all our guests, right? Because it really gives you a good sense of who they are as a person. So what do you want your legacy to be? You've done some pretty cool stuff, but when you're gone, what do you want people to say about Andrew George?
I think, the impact that we've had in the community beyond just, you have a job, you have a career, you run events, doing the day job is one thing, but the lasting impact I think we have on others, whether it's connecting them. I always enjoyed hearing the conversations around, in the Bear Trap, there was the proposals that were happening. There was a family that hadn't been together for a long time that would come out, and this was their chance to have a moment away from, chaos and challenge in their life. The military aspect and what that family of 10,000 people every single year come back together, whether they were, that was the one time a year that they had a chance to chat. I'm very hopeful, through Tomorrow Sports and TGL, we're going to bring similar experiences, different ways of bringing the groups together, but the memory making, the impact to the community, I think that's still an important element for us is making sure that we're more than just, a show that's happening on Palm Beach State College, that we are impacting the students through Dr. Parker and what we have the opportunity to do there to impact future lives. Philanthropy is still a big part of this. So a bit of rambling, but I think there's a lot of faces and families and people that we've impacted over the years. I hope they would take away that, we made their lives better and in a positive way, kind of as they went forward with their own lives.
Well, Andrew, TGL, Tomorrow Sports, is really lucky to have you. And I think we couldn't be happier. We're excited about this move for you. I think it's a great spot. And we know you're such a community guy, so we know it's going to be good for Palm Beach North. And just thank you for your leadership and everything you've done. Thank you for being here today. This was great. Hopefully our listeners got to learn a little bit more about you and a lot about Tomorrow Sports and TGL, because it's something that I brag about all the time. Like, it's right here in our backyard in Palm Beach North. So thank you again, my man. Thank you to everyone that tuned in to listen to the show today. We could not do this without you and your support. Big thank you to our friends at Jupiter Medical Center for making this happen. And we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Thank you.